The Phantom Soldier. The small town of Graywood lies on the edge of history, its fields once drenched in the blood of a long-forgotten battle during the Civil War. The battlefield, known locally as Dead Man's Hollow, is now overgrown with weeds and bordered by a dense forest. Few dare venture there, especially at night. The townsfolk speak of sightings, a soldier clad in a tattered uniform who roams the grounds. No one knows his name or allegiance, only that he seeks vengeance. I didn't believe in ghosts, and that's why I accepted the dare. Spending the night in Dead Man's Hollow seemed like an easy way to prove the town's legends were nothing more than superstition. It was a chilly October evening when I arrived at the Hollow, armed with nothing but a flashlight and my phone. My friends, watching from a safe distance, cheered me on. "Don't let the Phantom Soldier get you," one of them jeered, his laugh cutting through the crisp air. I waved them off and crossed the old wooden fence that separated the battlefield from the modern world. The ground felt different, softer, as if the earth still mourned the lives lost here. Hours passed, and the night grew colder. The forest was eerily silent, the kind of quiet that made your ears ring. I sat on a mossy rock, scrolling through my phone to pass the time. Then I heard a faint sound like boots crunching on dry leaves. I froze, shining my flashlight into the darkness. Nothing. I laughed nervously, chalking it up to my imagination. But as I turned back to my phone, I noticed something odd. The time was stuck at 11:59 p.m. The crunching footsteps returned, louder this time, and accompanied by the faint clinking of metal. I stood up, heart pounding, and called out, "Who's there?" A figure emerged from the shadows, a man in a ragged Civil War uniform, his face pale and gaunt, with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce my soul. His left arm was mangled, and a bayonet dangled loosely from his other hand. "You shouldn't be here," he said, his voice low and gravelly. Before I could respond, he vanished into thin air, leaving behind the faint scent of gunpowder. I tried to leave, but the path back to the fence was gone. The trees had shifted, their gnarled branches forming an impenetrable wall. Panicking, I ran deeper into the hollow, hoping to find another way out. The whispers started then, faint at first, but growing louder with every step. "Justice," they murmured. "Revenge." I stumbled into a clearing and saw him again, standing over a shallow grave. This time his uniform was pristine, but his expression was filled with sorrow. "They left me here," he said, looking at me. "They betrayed me." The soldier knelt by the grave, his hands trembling as he clawed at the earth. I approached cautiously, unable to look away. "They thought I was dead," he said, his voice breaking. "But I wasn't. They buried me alive." The whispers grew deafening, and the ground beneath my feet trembled. The grave opened, revealing a skeletal hand clutching a tarnished locket. "Take it," the soldier commanded. Against my better judgment, I picked up the locket. Inside was a faded photo of a young woman. "She waited for me," he said, tears streaming down his face. "But I never came home." The moment I touched the locket, a searing pain shot through my hand. Images flooded my mind, flashes of the soldier's final moments, his comrades abandoning him, and his desperate screams as the dirt covered him. "You carry my burden now," he said, his tone cold. The whispers stopped, replaced by a deafening silence. When I looked up, the soldier was gone. but the locket burned against my chest, as if it had fused with my skin. I found my way out of the hollow just as dawn broke, but I wasn't the same. Shadows followed me everywhere, and I could hear the soldier's voice in my head. "Find them," he demanded. "Make them pay." At first, I thought I was losing my mind, but then I started seeing them, the faces of his betrayers. They appeared in crowds, their eyes filled with terror as they recognized me. The first man was an old farmer living on the outskirts of town. He greeted me warmly when I knocked on his door, but his smile faded when he saw the locket. "You," he whispered, backing away. "You're him." I didn't know what came over me. One moment I was standing on his porch, and the next I was holding the bayonet, its blade slick with blood. The soldier's laughter echoed in my ears as the farmer's lifeless body slumped to the ground. One by one, I hunted them down. Each time, the locket grew colder and the soldier's presence stronger. I could feel him taking over, his vengeance consuming me. But it wasn't enough. I wanted more. "You must suffer as I did," he whispered. The last man was a retired officer, living in a mansion filled with relics of the war. He didn't even try to run when I showed up. "You think you're the first he's used?" the man sneered. "The phantom soldier never rests. He'll use you until there's nothing left, and then he'll find someone else." His words struck a nerve, but it was too late. The bayonet found its mark, and the locket turned ice cold. Now I wanted the battlefield, bound to the hollow just as he was. The locket hangs heavy around my neck, a constant reminder of the blood on my hands. And when the time comes, I'll pass it on to the next fool who dares to cross Dead Man's Hollow.